All right, here we are in BYU Provo, and these parking lots are here. They belong to BYU, and you know, they're all barricaded. They don't want any of the protesters here, and you know, we respect that because that's private property there. Although I'd have to say, BYU taking federal dollars, it makes it our property. But you know, we didn't come here for confrontation. We came here in peaceful assembly, and let me show you. We're starting to set up at the sidewalk, and we're going to start this event here real quick. But look at this. Bunch of people there already. Just a bunch of people, and it's not even it's not even 11 o'clock. We haven't started, and we'll have more as time goes by. So let's take a look at the signs. It says, Moses' mother did not comply. That's right. God save us, freedom of choice, not tyranny. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming. Yeah. So look, here's the crowd. Here's the crowd of people with their signs. Check it out. There's signs. Yearning to be free. My vaccine status is none of your business. There's more signs here. When the truth comes out, you can't unvax your kids. That is true. And here's our rights do not end where your fears begin. COVID is over. Live your life. Absolutely. You know what's selfish? People expecting others to surrender their liberties so they can enjoy a false sense of security. Thank you so much. Vax leading cause of coincidence. Choose life. The Kool-Aid only works if everyone drinks it. That's what Jim Jones said. That's what Joe Biden said, didn't he? Huh? Right? My science can't beat up your science. And there's a whole bunch of patriots here that have come here today, and they're going to protest no matter what. These guys in BYU, they have blocked off all the parking lot. They have told us we cannot be here, but this is public property right here. And I think BYU's public property too, because, you know, federal tax dollars pay for all this, right? So we're going to sing the national anthem. Holy cow, there's a bunch of people. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you, Amy. Hey, hi. Oh my gosh, all my good friends are here too. That's awesome, and they're all signed up. So, yeah, look at this. Everybody with their signs. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. My dad didn't fight Nazis, so we could go, we could show papers to go to work, right? Exactly. Marty, I went to 2022. You need 18 booster shots just to get a Big Mac. Exactly. That's coming. So thank you, brother. Thank you for coming. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's all about control. Thank you. Yes, Romney is a rhino. Wake up, Republicans. Thank you. Hunt for freedom. People are hunting for freedom. Woo! That's awesome. Thank you. BYU, your force is Satan's plan. That is absolutely right. Read the Belmont Report, 45 CFR number 46. I'll have to read that, brother. Oh, yeah. All right, there you go. So, lots of patriots here today. So anyways, huh?
I made some links to it.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Okay, so check it out. The Belmont Report. That is the link. If you want to type that. Okay, we'll get it. We'll put it on the video. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, more people come in, and it's going to start. So, there we go.
Who Star-spangled banner yet waves o'er the land of the free, and the home of God.
Father in heaven, we gather before thee at this time. We dedicate this day and every day unto thee. We recognize that storm clouds are gathered in our country, which we love so much. We recognize that freedom comes from thee. We recognize our own duties to stand up for it, to be willing to put our lives on the line. We pray that we have the right level of humility to call upon thy power. We recognize none of it comes from us, and it comes from thee. We pray that those who are about to speak to us today, that the true fire of freedom burns inside of them, that we may know what to do to protect the freedoms here. We recognize the secret combinations that have gathered, wanting to make it so all of thy children are marked and tagged and part of a system which does not serve thee. We desire to be free. We recognize it does not happen without thee. May this day and every day be dedicated unto thee. Thy will be done and thy kingdom come. We ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Close? Okay, there we go. Take your smartphone, look up Numbers chapter 10, verses 8 and 9. It's a promise that the Lord gave us, he and himself. Has anybody got that? Numbers chapter 10, verse 8 and 9. Mr. Jacob.
Oh, yeah. Forever, throughout your generations. And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, and ye shall be saved from your enemies.
I am Jewish. When the Bundys were taken into prison and trial in Portland, Oregon, the wind blew the shofar out in front for 40 days. You know that sacred number? It's mentioned 137 times in the Bible. For 40 days, 104 charges, no convictions. Went to Las Vegas, did it again. Dismissed with prejudice. Now you got something you can hang your hat on here. The Lord, this is the Lord speaking. The Lord is with us. The Lord is with us. Who can be against us? Nobody can be against us. And I guarantee you, I promise you, my testimony, my witness is that the Lord is with us. Let's rise up. Let's stand up to these oppressors. Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. All right.
These guys yesterday took down their vaccine passport policy in all their events. So, can we take a win? Yeah, we can take a win. I think we put enough pressure on. I'm going to read you a letter that was sent to us. And by the way, I want to ask you, before I go into this, I want to ask everybody, have you been coerced to be here today? No? Okay, I didn't hear a yes anywhere.
I threw him in the trunk. I said, get over here and sing.
I didn't hear a yes. I'm going to take that. Everybody's here on their own free will. Is there any paid actors here today? Anybody getting paid to come here?
There might be some feds. I don't know.
Well, okay, so there's no paid actor. Nobody's getting paid to be here either, right? I have another question. Is there any FBI agents here today? Any undercover cops? Any undercover agents? Because we come in peaceful assembly here today, don't we? Are we here in peaceful assembly or not? Okay, I didn't hear no either. So we are peaceful, and we just come to air our grievances against the discrimination that BYU has set in place. And this has created a lot of damage. A lot of personal, physical, mental damage amongst everybody in the community that participates in any way with BYU, including the students, the employees. I have received calls from employees here complaining about how they cannot even log into their computer to work because they're asking what their vaccination status is. And that is illegal and unlawful. Nobody has the authority to ask you a question about your medical status or have you taken a procedure or not. And this is what's happening here in this campus. But you know what? There's another thing that is even worse than this. And it's the coercion and the shaming of the people who don't want to take the vax. They have done that to their team members in BYU sports. And we know specifically of one case, and we know there's many of these cases, but the one that sticks out and is very public is Richard Harward. You guys know about Richard? He's a BYU center basketball star. He's the starting center of BYU basketball. This guy, 21-year-old guy, didn't want to take the jab. And he was coerced by team management of BYU basketball, and they threatened him that he would not play because he was not going along. He was not keeping everybody safe. This is what they did, and this kid finally had to give in to the shot. And you know what? He went to play a game, and he had a cardiac event. He collapsed on the court. They had to take him out. They took him to the hospital. He was diagnosed with some cardiac event, and now he's out for the season and probably for the rest of his life. Because, you know, cardiac events are not irreversible, right? So they are maiming and killing people with these policies. And everybody should be free to choose whatever they want to do with their body. Isn't that right? Absolutely. So a couple of days ago, I got a letter from, or actually it was 4 days ago, we got a letter from BYU Council Office. And I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I'm going to read you the response because, you know, they tried to say that, hey, you know what, you're not coming to our property to protest. You have to get a permit. Here's our protest policy. And if you're a student, you know, we can lay the law upon you and kick you out of the university for protesting, right? So it's intimidating. And of course, if we ask for permission to come inside the property, they're going to deny our right to free speech. So this was written by Mr. Anderson, and it is the BYU Council Office. And I'm going to read you the response that Jared Green, my good friend, he came up with all this. You know, we talked about it, but he's the one that really redacted the whole thing. He said, Mr. Anderson, I hope you will come and listen, for truth is not always heard or taught in BYU campus. Right? We believe in respect property rights, with nothing being more sacred than one's own body, an endowment from God and agency. Thank you for helping us rewrite the announcement. We have corrected the announcement to clarify the people's intent on peoplesrights.org website, and invite all people to stand freely on the public sidewalk. In good faith, I have attempted to correct the Facebook event, but Facebook has me in Facebook jail, and I'm not able to modify the text to show the same corrected noted on peoplesrights.org. So here I am, this is the 5th month in the year that I'm in Facebook jail. We won't encourage people who have peacefully assembled to stand on your parking lot, but they have their agency, right? It's your choice. The people of Utah Republic are legally and lawfully free to stand on the sidewalk or any public right-of-way. Any action against the people to silence them will be surely a conspiracy to deprive them of their rights under the color of law. We are deeply saddened so many lives have been ruined by accepting the mRNA gene therapy injection pushed so hard by BYU team management. Richard Hardward will never play basketball again, and the mass torts experienced by the people have yet to be completely realized. History will recognize this as one of the greatest evils ever inflicted on the children of men. We come in peace and strive to walk daily in the light of Christ. May your day be equally blessed. Signed, Jared Lyndon Green and Raul Hevia. By the way, I'm Raul Hevia. And that's Jared Green right there on the hat. We love him. So I've come here from St. George, Utah, because we got a complaint from a mother of a BYU athlete that said, I cannot submit to neither the test nor the jab, and I cannot see my daughter perform. And she is a national class athlete in, I'm not going to mention the sport at this time, but she's national quality. And she says, you know, can we do anything about this? And I said, absolutely we can. We can organize a protest, and we will. And so we've organized this protest to come here today to air our grievances against Brigham Young University management. We love the students. We love everybody that is associated with BYU. But we don't love what management is doing to the people of this community. And so I'm going to tell you one more thing, and we'll have Ben McClintock come and speak from Defending Utah. You guys need to get plugged into Defending Utah. But I'm going to plug peoplesrights.org, because peoplesrights.org is one of the instruments that we use to organize this and get the word out. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. I want you to imagine that you are a young mother that is ready to give birth in the hospital. And you give birth to this new baby, and the hospital management says, hey, we're putting your baby in quarantine. This is a true story. This happened in 2020. We're going to quarantine your baby because, you know, we're afraid that he could have COVID, and we're going to make sure that the baby's going to be okay, and you're going to be okay, so we're taking the baby. Can you imagine that, being a young mother and having taken your baby from your arms as soon as it was born? So they took the baby and put it in quarantine, and the mother contacted an area assistant of People's Rights in her area. We have the ability to contact all the neighbors that are in your area that have signed up for People's Rights to get their texts and their notifications and emails. And we can call them to action on behalf of you, because we believe that it is our duty to defend our neighbors' rights. Right? Isn't it all of our duty to defend our neighbors? Because if they're coming for your neighbors, they're coming for you later on. You know, you can't wait until they step on your toes. So I want to invite everybody to become part of People's Rights and sign up. It's peoplesrights.org. It's not a .com, it's a .org. It is free. We never ask you to pay for anything. And we spread information about events like this, or if one of your neighbors is being abused by any institution. And so the area assistant in this from this hospital sent out a call to action and told the people in the neighborhoods there that this mother had her baby taken away from her. And so 80 people showed up at the hospital, and they started demanding that the baby be brought back to the mother. And hundreds of calls, almost into the thousands calls, were placed to the hospital telling them that what they were doing was a violation of rights. And these was regular people like you and I calling the hospital or standing in front of the hospital saying, you got to give this baby back to this mother. You know what happened? In 2 hours, that baby was returned to the mother. And it was because of people like you and me. But we have to stay connected. And People's Right is a network. It's a platform that we can use to communicate with each other. And I invite you to become a part of peoplesright.org. And so with that, I'm going to let Ben McClintock speak. You ready, buddy? All right. I love Ben. Ben, I have known him for a long time. And he is the man.
For being here. It's awesome that you guys showed up on this Saturday morning. It's important that we do this because resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. And that's what we're going to do. The university has really desecrated the name of this man of God and the servant of God who said, along with John Taylor, I defy the United States. We need to defy the United States. This is a new thing. We're being shamed now to think that we need to just obey whatever the government says. That's a new thing. The servants of God, you go back to Daniel, he resisted the king. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego resisted the king. Brigham Young resisted and said, I defy the United States. These mandates, we support the Constitution, the principles of liberty. The Lord himself said that he established the Constitution. When we are, as an organization, promoting the violation of the Constitution, we are actually the ones that are going against God. And we here should realize that we're the ones that are not the weird ones. It's those that are going against the Scriptures and against history that are the weird ones. Moroni, Captain Moroni, established hoisted his title of liberty. We have somebody here with a title of liberty. You can read it. It says, in memory of our God, our religion, and our freedom, and our peace, our wives, and our children. We're supposed to be peculiar, absolutely. And therefore, this time Moroni prayed that the cause of the Christians and the freedom of the land might be favored. The cause of liberty is the cause of anyone calling themselves a Christian. Behold, whosoever will maintain this title, let them come forth in the strength of the Lord and enter into a covenant that they will maintain their rights. If we are covenanting to be a follower of Christ, we are covenanting to support the cause of liberty. Not the cause of tyranny, not the cause of mandates. This goes back before the world was. There was a guy that said he wanted to destroy the agency of man. We said no. The reason we have a body is because we said we want everybody to make their choice. And that battle did not stop when we came here to have a body. John Taylor said that besides the preaching of the gospel, we have another mission, namely the perpetuation of the free agency of man and the maintenance of liberty. That is our job here. It is our job always. The Lord himself says, ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light. Let your light so shine for the cause of liberty. There are some, though, that are scared. They say, well, we don't want to come out here to a protest. We don't want to put our necks out. The Founding Fathers stuck their necks out. When we do not follow our covenant to support the cause of liberty, we cannot be called the people of God. There are some that say we just need to live the gospel and not worry about freedom. Well, you know what? Freedom is a part of the gospel.
That's right,
Imagine the Founding Fathers saying, we're just not going to fight against the British because we're just going to pray. We wouldn't be here today. We need to go against this trend starting in the 1900s of the churches just staying within their four walls. That's why we're in the situation that we're in. We need to proudly proclaim the cause of Christ, the cause of liberty to the world, and not be ashamed of these things. leading up to Moroni rending his coat and creating the title of liberty, the members of the church began to be filled with pride because of the riches, and they refused to listen to Helaman. There was a man named Amalickiah who wanted to rule over the people. He conspired with others, even members of the church, to try and gain power. So he began to lead many of the members away from the teachings of Helaman. And when Moroni heard of this, the scriptures say that he became angry. Righteous anger is righteous. He must have felt the need to speak out publicly, because that is when he created the title of liberty and went among the people, telling them to enter into this covenant. Moroni took the initiative upon himself. We should not be commanded in all things. Here today, we were not commanded, we were invited, but we took the initiative to stand forward for the cause of Christ. And they stood against this conspiracy. The Book of Mormon warns us of this conspiracy in Ether chapter 8 and says that if we allow this conspiracy to continue, it will prove our destruction. We must stand for liberty and destroy this conspiracy that is seeking to destroy the agency of man. This Captain Moroni has said that if all men had been and were and ever would be like unto Moroni, behold, the very powers of hell would be shaken forever. Yea, the devil would never have power over the hearts of the children of men. How did Moroni take care of this conspiracy against the liberty of the people? It came to pass that whomsoever of the Amalekites that would not enter into a covenant and support the cause of freedom, that they might maintain a free government, he caused to be put to death, and there would be but few who denied the covenant of freedom. And it came to pass also that he caused the title of liberty to be hoisted upon the tower which was in all the land, which was possessed by the Nephites. Moroni planted the standard of liberty. We can use our influence and follow his example by warning the people, by using our influence to spread the title of liberty and the principles of the cause of Christ to defend liberty. The result of his actions was peace in the land. The Lord has declared that before the coming of Christ, these secret combinations will be stopped. They will be dismantled. It is our job to work for the cause of liberty, destroy the works by exposing them and not allowing them to continue in our own lives. The would-be feudal lords will be vanquished. It is my prayer that we will maintain the title upon the land, that we will come forth in the strength of the Lord and enter into this covenant, that we will maintain our rights, our religion, that the Lord God may bless us. Thank you.
Wow. What's the name of the band?
Battle Hymn.
Battle Hymn. Wow, they're amazing. So let's hear from Tanner Reeve. Okay, you ready, buddy?
Yeah.
All right, here he goes.
Like they've said, my name is Tanner Reeve. I too come from somewhat of a communist country. I'm a Canadian, and I'm really proud of my brothers and sisters up north right now. My mom personally has fed the trucker convoy. She's been working in the kitchen and feeding hundreds and hundreds of people. I love her. I love Canada. They're doing great things. I hope to share a little insight on how, just a more personal story and kind of a deeper dive into how this is affecting individuals. I know that there's a lot of people who ask me, they say, Tanner, how did you know what the right thing to do was? Because I myself, I'm not personally anti-vaccine. I'm just so pro-freedom that I'm going to do anything it takes to promote freedom. I have friends saying, Tanner, wouldn't it just be easier to take the vaccine? I say, you know, it probably would be. It probably would be, and honestly, I'm not scared I'm going to die. I'm a healthy guy. But I'm not going to take it because I love my freedoms and I can't submit to this tyranny. Exactly. So I was offered a role in the Fiddler on the Roof production at BYU. I was on my mission and I had a great audition. They loved me, and they said, start growing your beard. I said, my mission president's not gonna like that. They said, okay, give it a couple months and then start growing. And I started growing a beard. It was nice and red. Wherever Jared Green is, I was kind of looking like him, and it was great. I was a main dancer and fiddler on the roof, and I was excited. I was just permitted into the music dance theater program, one of the most competitive programs in the school. And it was my dream my whole life to be in this program, to pursue my dreams of singing and acting. I love that stuff. And I come to school, I got my beard, I have my beard card in my wallet. You gotta show that to go to the gym. It was awesome. And the first week in, I get an email. They say, Tanner, are you gonna get vaccinated? I'm like, no, what the heck? And they're like, okay, well, you need to get vaccinated to be in the show. It's a new policy. And that just blew me away. I don't know why, but I thought I was exempt from all of these challenges. I thought I was going to be okay. I was gonna sneak under the radar. This happens to other people in California or in Seattle, not to me. I'm just a little theater kid. But here I am, having to choose between my dreams and the vaccine. To do this show was a requirement in my major. You have to perform in at least one musical in your career at BYU to graduate as a music dance theater student. And this was going to be my musical. Without this, I wasn't going to be able to graduate. I called the lady, Megan Sanborn-Jones. She's the chair of the theater department, and she's everything you'd expect from someone telling you to get the vaccine right to your face. I gave her a call, and she said, Tanner, your career is on the line. No one will ever hire you as an actor if you don't get vaccinated. And that just, well, here I am, I'm all alone. I hadn't met Julia yet. I hadn't met my great girlfriend Eliza. I haven't met any like-minded people because sometimes they're quiet on BYU. I'm all alone. And for a minute I thought, okay, I think I need to get vaccinated. At least the thought was, it was in my mind. I was going through the motions and thinking, what's the best thing to do? And that's when I realized, why haven't I prayed about this yet? I haven't asked the Lord. And that was Megan Sanborn-Jones. She said, you have 24 hours to come up with a decision. I'm like, that's bullcrap. This is a big decision, lady. She's like, okay, you have 72 hours. They're like, you're just making this crap up. What the heck? Where's the science, right? So I prayed fervently, and I never thought I would have to pray over a needle, over a shot. But I prayed and prayed and prayed, and this whole time I'm thinking, I'm just going to get it. The Lord's going to be fine with that. You know, the prophet is promoting it. Of course, the Lord is going to say, yeah, go get it. And I prayed and prayed, and the answer time and time again was, Tanner, you don't need to get it. You don't need it, Tanner. You're going to be fine. I need to use you as a tool. I don't know why I was getting that answer, but that was the answer, and I can't deny it. I can't deny it. I've had friends receive other answers, and I love them, and I support them in whatever answer they get from the Lord. And I tell Megan Sanborn-Jones this, hey, I prayed fervently about it, and the answer was no. And she said, no, the Lord wouldn't tell you that. You wouldn't say no. Now, you're going against the prophet, you're going against the honor code, and I can get you kicked out of this school. And from then I knew, okay, I have to cut ties. I have to cut ties. So they say I quit the show. No, they kicked me out of the show. I didn't quit. They said, don't come to rehearsal. Now, honestly, I'm kind of grateful because it was like from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. every night for 4 months. Like, I finally got a life back. But they kicked me out of the show, and I had to quit my program. I'm now in exercise and wellness, which honestly, it's a great program, and I'm excited to be a health coach in the future. That's where the Lord is leading me right now. But I had to quit the program, and now I'm able, I'm comfortable, I find my people that can support me. This semester, I made a wonderful friend. Her name is Eliza, and she too has been struggling with all of these mandates. I made it a goal. I made it a New Year's resolution that I am going to stop participating in the pandemic. That was my New Year's resolution. So I came to class first day of school. I don't have a single mask with me. I don't have a single mask. I want to be like Julia, and that's my goal. I go to class, no masks, and it's been awesome. Honestly, I have pretty cool professors. So they've been letting me get away with it. I've had so many friends, too many friends, with professors not as awesome. My friend Eliza, most of her classes, they were okay with it, but her chemistry class, her professor, every single day, would come up and just torment her, say, you can't come to my class without a mask. Finally, she said, sir, I'm working on an exemption. I'm trying to get an exemption for my mental health, because wearing a mask gives me anxiety. I can't think, I can't study with something covering my face. And he said, okay, if you get an exemption, you still can't come to my class. You'll have to withdraw from my class, and I can't be seeing you anymore because it's distracting for me. You're putting me at risk. He says he's not wearing a mask and teaching. So we're working through, going to the University Accessibility Center, getting the meetings done that we need to do to get this exemption. And BYU, they won't offer an exemption. They have all these signs saying, oh, we'll support you in your disabilities and whatever you need. We'll help you get an exemption. We've gone to the meetings and they don't offer an exemption. We had to withdraw the course, this chemistry course, putting her tuition, her scholarship on the line just over a vaccine, over a professor who can't handle the thought of someone not bowing down to the tyranny. Now, BYU, I've been going to this school for 3 years now, and it's always been my dream school. And I still love it. I still love the school. And that's why I'm still here. And that's why I want it to change. Because I know it can be better, and I know that with people like you, we will make it better. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope that gives a little insight into what we're working with here. Thanks for coming. This is going to be a great day.
The intro is what they're telling me. So, first of all, just thanks everybody for coming out. This really means a lot. I mean, we've got a few hundred people here, and it really makes the students feel like they're not alone. Kind of what the theme has been. So we really appreciate everybody coming out. What Julia was saying about meeting with her professor who was from a communist country, that professor actually reached out to me and asked me to speak here. And that's due to kind of what I was doing last semester. But first off, I'd just like to say BYU started this vaccine requirement for entry to public places on January 20th, is when it first went into play. And yesterday, February 18th, not even 1 month later, we got them to reverse their policy. So that's a win in my book. It was 1 month too long, and it should never have been in place in the first place. But what happens when we get together, we speak out, and we help and support each other, is they quietly slide under the rug that they're going to reverse the policy, and you have to kind of dig and find it. But now we don't have to prove vaccination or a negative test result. That's right. So credit where credit's due. I appreciate BYU for listening to us, and I have a lot of love for BYU, but I think this was an egregious policy. So just to introduce myself, my name is Brayden Cook. Last semester, I worked for the Leadership Institute. I'm a student at BYU. I'm a sophomore. And I was a student at BYU taking 18 credits last semester, working 29 hours a week for the Leadership Institute, which is it's a national conservative organization that basically promotes conservative and libertarian clubs on college campuses. So I was in charge of Utah and Idaho, all the way from Dixie State University in St. George, all the way up to Boise State University in Boise, Idaho. And I was networking with dozens of students and a bunch of clubs. I was creating clubs all across Utah and Idaho with conservative students, meeting with professors, and organizing and attending events. And this led me especially to focus on BYU. I'm right here anyway, right? And I distributed thousands of flyers all across Utah and Idaho, and especially even with BYU. These flyers were political flyers, interested in learning about the political leanings of students at BYU. And to emphasize in my speech while I'm talking today, I just want to go over a BYU student's perspective on what's been going on with the vaccine policy and the mask policy, and especially in contradiction to students' beliefs. I believe perhaps nobody understands the political leanings of BYU students like I do. No faculty, no staff, no administration, no other student, perhaps, understands the political leanings. I got over 1,150 responses of these flyers from students. With 30,000 students at BYU, that's not a small sample size. So over 1,150 students, they're asked a few different questions. They're asked if they're conservative, liberal, libertarian, or socialist. They're asked if they support the Second Amendment or not, and they're asked if they're pro-life or pro-choice on the issue of abortion. In addition to this, they're asked what their biggest political issue is. Here are the results. 74% of students identified as either conservative or libertarian. 83% of students support the Second Amendment to the Constitution. 75% of students are pro-life on the issue of abortion, which is, it should be 100, let there be no mistake, but 75 is still 3/4. And 137 students, that's over 10% of the responses, included the word freedom in their response to their biggest political issue, the word freedom. That included religious freedom, freedom of speech, individual freedom, economic freedom, and medical freedom.
As in actual freedom.
Actual freedom. Scriptural freedom. Freedom from God. And what's my point by sharing all of this? My point is to better understand the political leanings of students at BYU. The administration, the faculty, the management is making decisions that the students don't. And let's go blame them.
They want freedom too!
But the students at BYU don't agree with, don't support these decisions. Most of them, almost nobody is willing to stand up and say no, to nullify, but nobody wants this in the first place. Most people here support the Constitution, they support the Scriptures, they support God's understanding of freedom, and they don't want to be forced to either wear a mask or to get the vaccine. So I'll get to masks in just a minute, but with the vaccine mandate that was recently retracted, I believe that this policy was only put into place for public appearances, and I'll attempt to prove why, for PR, for public image. And I'll just go through a list of bullet points, hence the notes that I have. So, dozens of classes at BYU have at least 100 students in attendance. First of all, this policy was vaccine requirement for entry to any public event. It could be any public event, at their discretion is what it says, but it was most likely with at least 100 students or more is where they would require it. Dozens of classes at BYU have at least 100 students in attendance. Dozens of buildings have hundreds of students in them walking around all over the place. Yeah, the vaccine requirement was only necessarily mainly at sporting events. Only at certain places. If you're just a student, there was no vaccine requirement. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. in the Marriott Center, BYU hosts devotionals and forums. I love these devotionals and forums. They've become a highlight of my time at BYU. Attendance, in my estimate, ranges from 5,000 people to 10,000 people. You know, when you get Elder Oaks, when you get Elder Holland here, it's packed, and for good reason. But for 3 out of the 4 devotionals, and I went to all these devotionals, for 3 out of the 4 devotionals, like after the policy change, there was no enforcement of the vaccine requirement. So you go into the Marriott Center with 10,000 people for a devotional, and they don't check the vaccine. But if you go to a women's basketball game with a few hundred, maybe 1,000 people, then they do require the vaccine. Or a gymnastics event, or a volleyball game, or a men's basketball game. So it's just kind of enforced at their discretion and whatever they feel like is best, right? The vaccine requirement was not effectively enforced. No ID was required to authenticate who received the vaccine at the test. Many people have and use fake vaccine cards. Test results were generally accepted regardless of the date issued. They said within 72 hours, but you could use test results 3-4 weeks old. And even if you're vaccinated, the CDC now even admits that the vaccine doesn't stop or prohibit transmission. That means that those who aren't vaccinated have to prove that they don't have COVID, but those that are vaccinated, even though they are just as likely to have COVID, don't have to prove it. It doesn't make any sense. So that's with the vaccine policy. With the mask policy, even though the vaccine was only in place for not even a month, the mask mandate has now been in place for almost 2 years, with a small break during last summer when they let up a little bit, and then, you know, who knows, a week right before school starts, they announced the mask mandate, which was the worst day of the year last year. So, similarly to the vaccine requirement, I believe the mask mandate is only for public appearance, public image, PR, and to make it look like we're fighting this disease, right? First of all, the masking policy, especially this year, is not strictly enforced. In my experience in my classes and those I've talked to, about half of BYU professors don't require masks to be worn in their classrooms. Good for them. And almost none require that the mask be over the nose and the mouth, making a mask completely useless, even though we know it's useless in the first
It's like
place.
they're all theater majors.
Yes, it's all theater. During class, most students properly wear their mask. They properly sit and behave. They do what they're told. They wear their mask. I noticed last year while I was going to church, I didn't wear my mask, and at first it was just me out of everybody in my ward not wearing a mask. And then week by week, I would kind of add up how many people were, and it'd be 1, and then it'd be 3, and then 4, and we got up to 9 or 12 by the end of the semester. So I think just by one person not doing it, and you know, they don't even say anything most of the time. You just don't do it in the first place, and nobody cares. Masks are not required for entry to devotionals in the Marriott Center, nor are they enforced in the Marriott Center during devotionals. Yet, masks are required for indoor sporting events upon entry, but once you get in, nobody cares. And you have 15,000 plus. There was a game earlier this season with 17,500 people in the Marriott Center for St. Mary's, and nobody was wearing a mask. The BYU Rock section, or the BYU Rock leadership, the student section, posted on their Instagram page asking and encouraging everybody to wear their masks during the game, during the entire time. I looked up at halftime at the game, saw that nobody in that leadership was wearing a mask, called them out on Instagram, and I was hoping that they would just delete the post, but instead they decided to chin strap the mask under their chin for the rest of the game. So if you see any Rock leadership in the student section with masks under their chins during the game, that's my fault. I just don't like hypocrites. I don't want anybody to wear a mask. I don't want anybody to have to wear a mask. But I'm not good with hypocrisy. For football games, during outdoor football games, there were 61,000 people in attendance on average per game last season. And nobody was required to wear a mask. And they say it's because of outdoors, but once again, you go into the basketball stadium and you can do whatever you want. Even those who instituted statewide mask mandates didn't comply with the mask mandate at BYU. Both Governor Herbert and Governor Cox I have seen at the BYU basketball games, at different games, neither of them were wearing masks. And credit to Governor Cox is not my favorite. I think he's done better than most Democratic governors. I'm not very impressed. But thankfully, I do give him credit because when I saw he wasn't wearing his mask, I went up and talked to him and I told him that we need to get rid of COVID response and COVID policies, that I hate mask and vaccine mandates. He graciously listened. So I'm thankful for that at least. And yesterday, thankfully, we ended our state of emergency after 2 years.
I think it ended about 2 years ago. The rest of them just caught on.
Yeah, so the world got a little bit safer yesterday with the end of the emergency. The state of emergency ended in the state of Utah. So most of it's just theater. I mean, it's just name calling. But it kind of gives them a little less power and authority, which they shouldn't have in the first place. So just to close, here are a few quotes about cloth mask wearing from left-wing sources. Because also BYU's mask policy doesn't require any specific type of mask. It's just any mask in general. So you can be wearing a mesh mask and you're just fine, or a bandana, or a face shield. I don't even know if a face shield.
Cover your face with underwear.
You can cover your face with literally anything, and you're within their policy. So here's what MSN.com says about CNN. This is CNN medical analyst Dr. Leanna Nguyen. She said that cloth face masks have no place in the fight against the Omicron variant of COVID-19, and she likened them to facial decorations. Don't wear a cloth mask, she said. Leanna Nguyen is no right-wing source. The New York Times, they had a headline that said the CDC concedes that cloth masks do not protect against the virus as effectively as other masks. And when you have the CDC and the New York Times both agreeing that cloth masks don't work at the same moment, you know that they don't. Aisha Shijahan from the Mayo Clinic, she said, we want to make sure that it is not a cloth mask that you're wearing. A cloth mask does not offer protection. Likewise, so these are no right-wing sources, right? Within the past week, maybe 2 weeks, we've seen states, the most liberal left-leaning states in America, rescind their mask mandates. These include, they lifted indoor school mask mandates in these states, including Oregon, New Jersey, Delaware, and Connecticut. Also, New York and California are lifting their statewide mask mandates. Even uber-liberal Washington, D.C. recently dropped its indoor mask mandate. So you have places all over the country the most liberal places in America, prepping for the midterms, of course, dropping their indoor mask mandates, their school mask mandates, and BYU still has a mask mandate. So we're out here wondering, 74% of the students identified as conservative or libertarian, and we still have a mask mandate. It's insane. Also, House Bill 1007 of the Utah State Legislature last session, back in April, I think, or March, they prohibited any public educational institution from mandating masks for its students. So, this year, Utah State University, the University of Utah, Weber State University, Utah Valley University, Southern Utah University, and Texas State University have not required masks since fall semester 2021. However, and that was because of the state legislature, it's not because of the schools, it's because of the state legislature, so good for us for voting in good people, I guess. Likewise, public and private high schools throughout the state function well without mask mandates. There are many private high schools that don't require masks, and all the public high schools can't, except there have been some fights in Salt Lake and stuff. But BYU nearly stands alone in Utah as an educational institution requiring masks for its students. And I appeal to BYU to remove its indoor mask mandate. Yes! I think we all do, right? So that's my call to action going forward, is get rid of this mask mandate. And thanks for everyone for coming. May God bless America, the great city of Utah, and Brigham Young University. Thank you.
Hey, hello everyone. All right, so do we have any BYU students out here right now? Any BYU students? Okay, not a couple. All right. So I graduated from BYU just a couple months ago. So December, I was finally done with this place, but I did not go out without a fight. And so my goal today is just to tell you students, how you can ignore these ridiculous mandates. How you can say no and have the courage to do so, because what you're doing is what's right. What they're doing is what's wrong. Okay? Woo! So, yesterday was a small victory. Of course, now we can go to an event and not show our vaccine status, yay. However, we still have the mask mandates in class, and athletes and performers are still required to get the vaccine, which is not okay. And in fact, I have met many friends this past year who are in departments such as theater and ballet who were required to get the vaccine, and some were injured, some refused to do so and were kicked out of their program. And so we still have an obligation to fight back, okay? There's still an opportunity to show them that what they're doing is wrong. If BYU were actually a private institution, fully 100% private, not funded by any tax dollars or any federal funding, then sure, they could make their own rules, and everyone who went to the school could sign up and say, yes, I will follow your rules. But they are not fully private. Like we heard earlier, these lands, the school, they are funded by tax dollars, and that means that they are liable to accept exemptions, which they are not doing, and to follow the Constitution, and to give us our freedoms and honor our rights. So I fully support BYU's right to create their own rules. Yes. I fully support BYU's right to create their own rules after they cut ties with the money of Babylon. Okay? Yes. Alright, so who here has heard of nullification? Woo! There we go. Alright. Yes, for those of you who have not heard of nullification, it's just a beautiful little thing that the founding fathers did all the time, and it's exactly what we should be doing right now. In essence, it is the act of claiming your right when somebody else tries to take it from you. Alright? So, nullifying, some people may also call civil disobedience. Right? You are following the law when you nullify. You are following the law. We're not breaking the rules here. We are the ones that's doing what's right. The people who are trying to take your rights, the people who are trying to make you wear a mask, who are trying to make you report your vaccination status or show a vaccine passport, they are the ones that are breaking the law. We are not. So how many times has somebody tried to take away your rights within the last 2 years, but you decided to ignore them? I'm sure many of you have an instance that you can think of. That means you nullified, so good job. We just gotta keep it up. So I was a student back in 2020 when all of this hit the fan. I received an email one day, as did all of the students and faculty members, that said we had to agree to randomized testing, to wearing a mask on campus, and to downloading and using a health tracker app, okay? This is how I nullified. I said no. There was a box on the email that said no, and I did it. Well, that triggered some consequences, but it's all right. So after that, I was notified that someone from the dean's office would call me and lay out all of my options. And basically it was to retake the survey, say yes, that I agree to all of these things, or that I would be banned from campus, that I would have a flag placed on my account called Disruptive Student, which would be monitored by the Disruptive Student Committee.
You should put that on a t-shirt. That's a good label.
And I was quite proud of that label, actually. And since I was working for the BYU internship office, that I would lose my job. So these were my options: either say yes and consent to all of this, or all of the above. So once again, I said no. Thankfully, my supervisor in the internship office had my back. She had a conscience, and she let me work from home, so I didn't have to lose my job, thank goodness. But apparently I was banned from campus and I had a flag on my account. However, their threats really meant nothing. They were not enforced, and I went about my business as usual. And that's all it takes, you guys. You just say no and just carry on like normal, okay? Exactly. And if someone wants to fight about it, you've got amazing people to back you up. Because when you do the right thing, you attract good people, okay? You attract the people who will support you. So, like I said, when you nullify, you get positive and negative consequences. But that's okay. I still graduated, but most importantly, even better than the diploma, is I kept my integrity. Okay? Even if I were expelled, or even if BYU wants to take my diploma right now, heaven would have recorded my persecution. And that's all that matters to me. So fast forward to 2021. This was last semester, fall semester. Once again, we had to report our vaccination status online in order to get access to all of our student accounts. And like many faculty members here, who are also locked out, they know the pain and just the inconvenience of it all. However, I refused the whole time, have never reported my vaccination status. Eventually called their bluff, waited it out, and I got access. I know some people are not fortunate like that, so I mean, keep up the good fight. Don't give in. Seriously, do not give in. And then there's the mask issue. The mask mandate was still going on, and so I, got my people together, and they talked me through how I was going to go on the first day of class. And basically, I just said no. I sat in class, carried on like normal. Claimed my right to breathe, and my professors were not happy though. So, there was a bit of a power play. It was not comfortable. It was not fun. I was the only one in class who was putting up a fight. But eventually, I just told them that I was not going to wear a mask, and that if they had a double standard of the professor being able to stand up there and take off their mask, then I was going to claim the same right and take off my mask. Well, I didn't even wear one, so not wear a mask. And eventually, they gave in, or they gave up, and just let me be. And because of that experience, because of that small act, just that small and simple thing, I want to share some examples, some experiences that I had that resulted from that. Okay, so the first one was, there was another student who approached me in the library who heard about my experience. And this experience will forever stand out in my mind because he looked so relieved to find someone who was like-minded. On this entire campus, I think we have like 30,000 students or something, he finally found one person who was willing to not wear a mask, who was awake to all of this nonsense, and just the look of relief and joy on his face seriously made it all worth it. And so, all of you BYU students and faculty out there, start talking. start making noise. Like, let other people who might not be brave enough to stand up, let them find you, because we all need each other in this. The second person, the second experience I want to share is of a business owner who heard about my story, my experience of me just saying no, putting up a fight in the classroom. He was very disappointed to see the church-sponsored university going down this path. And he felt like what I did was so important that he expressed his support through paying for part of my tuition with a grant. And so I am a testament to doing what's right, standing up, even when it's super uncomfortable and it's super scary. Like, the Lord will bless you. You know, everything will come to you in return tenfold. The third person that heard about my experience, it led to radio time with Defending Utah. I really highly recommend you guys go check out Defending Utah. They did a little story, a little interview with me and this business owner, and it was published online. After that, it kind of, it spread like wildfire among us liberty-minded folk. And it was really awesome because then that led to a few other people that I met. For example, Tanner Reeve. I don't know if he's here today. Oh yeah, Tanner, okay. Yeah, I met Tanner. He's another BYU student. He was in the theater department. I'm sure he's going to share his experience. But yeah, kicked out for a role that he had already gotten just because he refused to get the vaccine because it's his right not to. And then I also met a girl. She's in the ballet department. So we've been talking about the basketball star here. But she's also another one who was coerced into getting the vaccine. She was injured. She was in the hospital for days, off and on, for a couple weeks. And when she posted about it on her Instagram story, about her frustration with BYU, how she was forced into getting this vaccine or giving up her spot in the department, giving up her dream that she worked her whole life for. She was injured in the hospital with heart conditions, and when she posted about it on Instagram, her department came to her and said she needed to take it down and that she should not be speaking out against BYU and that it was going to jeopardize her spot in the department. And so I talked to her, and at first she was all fired up. She was ready to fight this head on. She had an amazing experience, and BYU came to her and scared her out of her right to free speech. They scared her out of telling them her story, out of telling everyone her story, that she was forced into something she didn't want to do, that she didn't believe in. She was injured for it. Who knows if she'll have lifelong conditions. And all for what? PR? Like BYU wanted to look good. So let that sink in. Okay, we've got basketball stars, we've got ballet people, we've got people in the theater department, all of the above. They're everywhere, but they're being silenced by BYU. All right, another experience that came from this is actually a BYU faculty member. She's amazing. She came from a communist country, and when she was in her early 20s, I believe, she came to America. She survived a civil war where people had to fight with violence to protect the rights, whereas we only have to nullify them right now, okay? Let's not get it any further. All we have to do is nullify. No one is more qualified than this faculty member who reached out to me to see where this is all leading. She saw the full cycle of power-hungry overreach from beginning to end, and it was not pretty. So, BYU students, all you have to do is nullify. Just say no. And lastly, another classmate of mine, she approached me in the hallway a couple months into the semester, and she's like, "Hey, are you the girl that doesn't wear a mask in class?" I'm like, "Yep, that's me." And right, yeah. She was talking to me, and she was just so impressed and so I guess empowered by my example that the following day in class she decided to test the waters and not wear a mask herself, and it was totally fine. And honestly, I just want everyone to know she had the power all along to not wear a mask. It was always in her hands. It was her right from the beginning. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of courage, a little bit of support from others. So I was just one student in a classroom, and I had all of these experiences. But imagine if all of you here just started saying no, just started putting up a little fight with your teachers, just saying that you're not going to wear the mask, that you're not It's going to report your vaccine status. Just imagine what all of you can do. If I was just one person, imagine 50 of you guys, okay?
Just say no to drugs.
Just say no.
No, thank you.
So be the first to do the right thing, because that's what leaders do. They are the first one to do the right thing, and then people will follow. So I want you to take that all upon yourselves. Be the leader. Just say no. Okay, and to wrap up, I just want to have a little more commentary on BYU. If you think about it, nobody ever forced BYU to do what they're doing. No law, there were no mandates that said, oh, okay, you need to have randomized testing, that you need to have this health tracker app, and that you need to force everyone to wear masks. BYU did that first in 2020. It was before any state mandates came out, any government came in. It was BYU that did it first. And so why is BYU leading the way? Why are they doing this? Why are they leading us in this direction? BYU, as an example to the state, used its influence to promote tyranny instead of liberty. Shouldn't BYU be leading in freedom and not tyranny, like we just heard Ben talk about? The gospel is liberty. Why is BYU leading the way in tyranny and not liberty, in the opposite direction? Last time I read the scriptures, the gospel was to promote liberty.
Yes, it is. That's right.
And so it's up to the students to teach BYU to honor the gospel. Okay, it's up to you guys to tell BYU what they're doing wrong, to show them what the gospel really means, and the Lord will take notice if you do the right thing. So, that's all.
About your liberty and about your sovereignty. The only way that we can overcome evil is by stepping into that our own sovereign being, our own liberty being. If we don't declare our own liberty, and you know what else? Can I have another second? So I talked to a woman there last night who is from Canada, and she was sad and confused about the truckers. She thought that was dumb. And that really hurt my heart, because I love this person. And I told her, I never would have guessed that Canadians, the Canadians would be more American than most Americans. It really is sad, but I witnessed to her that you should be dang proud of being a Canadian. You should be so proud of your country, these people that are standing up for freedom. And I was shocked. I said, you actually believe that it's dumb to stand up for freedom? I don't think people are thinking this through. I don't think she really thought that. But the fact that
Hey friends, getting ready to leave St. George, on my way to Provo, Utah. Pick up a generator on the way, the PA system that I bought. We're gonna go protest BYU for their Vaxx passport policy that they just happened to rescind one day before hundreds or perhaps 1,000 people coming to protest them tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. So there's a number of efforts. One of them is our effort of bringing all these people there to protest right in front of the LaVelle Edwards Stadium at 11 a.m. And there was also a petition that was signed by many people and sent to the president of BYU, asking them to rescind all those requirements to go into their events. And we got a letter from BYU Council office 3 days ago, and they were telling us that we could not protest at their property. And we responded that we wouldn't, that we were going to be on the sidewalks and public right away. And it was an amicable letter, but we did let them know that if they conspired to shut our voices down and prevent us from our right to free assembly and freedom of speech, that it would be considered a conspiracy to violate Title 18 of the U.S. Code. I think it's 241 and 242. And so they got notice, and they got notice of all the crimes against humanity that are being committed with this clot shot, and all the people that they have maimed and killed with the clot shot, one of them being their own basketball starting center, Richard Harward. And we're denouncing them for being a part of the conspiracy. And so anyways, they have been put on notice by us. And we will still go. And we're going to protest their policies and their stances, their toxic environment they've created against the people. Richard Harward had to take the shot because he was coerced, and he was shamed by team management in BYU for not wanting to take the shot. They even threatened him that he wouldn't play in the next game. And this is a starting center. Now he's got myocarditis. He's got permanent heart damage. So there you go. We're gonna go. We will see you there. Peace.